You know what's really strange? Everyone talks endlessly about boomers and millennials. We dissect Gen Z like they're some exotic new species just discovered. But there's an entire generation sitting right in the middle, barely mentioned, almost invisible. Generation X, born roughly between 1965 and 1980. They're your older coworkers who never complain, your parents who sometimes seem oddly detached, the people who actually built the internet but don't post photos of their breakfast. And here's the part almost nobody says out loud. Their psychology is probably the most misunderstood of any living generation. They were the first massive wave of latchkey kids. Picture this. It's 1978, you're 8 years old, you walk into an empty house because both parents are at work. No smartphones, no Ring cameras, no way for anyone to check if you're okay. You let yourself in, make a snack, do your homework alone, and wait. A study in the American Journal of Orthopsychiatry estimated that by 1984, around 7 million children aged 5 to 13 were regularly left unsupervised after school. An entire generation learning early that you can't always count on someone being there. That empty house didn't just make them self-reliant, it burned into them the idea that actions carry real consequences, the kind you can't talk your way out of. When parents finally got home, you always knew exactly where you stood. Rules landed hard and fast. Nobody cared how you felt or wanted to talk about it. Step out of line, you paid for it right then and there. Psychologists describe it as a high-contingency environment. Actions and outcomes linked directly, no buffer, no delay. Their brains learn to predict consequences in real time. That's why Gen X tends to think 3 steps ahead in ways that often puzzle younger people. They watched their parents preach stability, then watched divorce rates explode through the 70s and 80s. They saw people give everything to a company only to get a pink slip the next time layoffs came. Everyone told them, work hard, follow the rules, and life will reward you. Then the rules changed right in front of their eyes. Psychologists might label it defensive pessimism. Gen X just calls it being realistic. They're not exactly cynical. They built emotional armor. They half hope for good things, but deep down, they expect the rug to be pulled, because that's what kept happening. That's a big reason you don't hear much from them on social media. They grew up when privacy was simply normal. If you screwed up as a kid, maybe 4 people knew and that was it. No phones, no viral clips, just some cringy memories in a basement or a parking lot. The idea of broadcasting your life for strangers to judge doesn't feel exciting to them. It feels dangerous. It's not that they don't get technology. It's that they learned early, the less people know about you, the safer you stay. Irony became their shield. Crack a joke, keep distance, laugh it off before it can hurt. You can trace it straight back. They grew up under the Cold War shadow, with teachers talking about nuclear war like it was just another rainy Tuesday, duck and cover drills, as if a school desk could save you. When adults act like the world might end any day, but tell you not to worry, you get very good at holding 2 contradictory ideas at once, and keeping a little emotional distance, just in case. Yet despite everything, Gen X developed a distinctive approach to work that still stands out. They don't talk about it, they don't post about it, they just do it. That work ethic was forged in jobs that feel almost prehistoric now. Paper routes at 5 a.m., bagging groceries, running fast food registers where you had to count change in your head when the machine broke. Those weren't resume builders, they were raw introductions to adult responsibility. A 12-year-old could be trusted to deliver the news to an entire neighborhood. They watched their parents' generation get crushed by corporate restructuring, so they never bought into company loyalty. But they are fiercely loyal to their own competence. They can't control whether they'll be laid off, but they can control whether they're the most valuable person in the room when the axe falls. There's a strange paradox at the heart of Gen X psychology. They're simultaneously the most independent generation and the most quietly collaborative. They'll never ask for help. They've been figuring it out alone since they were 8. But if you need help, they'll show up. No drama, no Instagram post about it. That comes from forming tight friendships out of necessity when parents weren't around. Their relationship with authority is complicated. They respect competence, not titles. Earn your position through real skill, and they'll follow you anywhere.
If you're just a fancy title with no substance, they have zero patience. They question authority because they watched incompetent authority figures make catastrophic decisions their whole childhood. Watergate, Iran-Contra, the botched AIDS response. They faced economic headwinds their parents never did. The youngest graduated into the dot-com bust. The oldest were mid-career when 2008 hit. Repeated economic trauma is why they're more likely to have multiple income streams, not because they're naturally entrepreneurial, but because they've learned nothing lasts forever. Gen X often shows patterns of self-reliance that border on anxiety. They're incredibly capable in crises, but that capability frequently comes from refusing to depend on others. Research in the Journal of Adult Development finds they seek less social support during stress, not because they lack people to ask, but because asking feels like admitting defeat. That self-reliance extended to how they acquired knowledge. Before the internet, information had real weight. They spent hours in libraries flipping through card catalogs to find the one book that might have the answer. Effort made knowledge stick deeper, what cognitive psychologists call deeper encoding. They learned to fix things with their hands because that's what you did. Bike chain slipped, flip the bike, get greasy, figure it out. No technician on speed dial. That built mechanical intuition, the belief that with patience and a screwdriver, you could master the physical world. Now they watch their kids grow up in the opposite universe. Helicopter parents, constant supervision, social media archiving every moment. They gave their children the attention they never had, but sometimes they worry they've made them too soft, too dependent, too exposed. Because in the Gen X worldview, visibility equals vulnerability. The truth is, Generation X may be the last generation that truly understands what it means to be alone with your thoughts, to be bored, and to solve problems without Googling the answer first. They're not better than other generations, just different, shaped by a unique historical hinge when the old world was dying and the new one hadn't fully arrived. They're the bridge generation, and bridges don't get the spotlight. They just sit there, doing the work, holding everything together, expecting nothing in return. And maybe that's the most Gen X thing of all, not caring if anyone notices. If this resonates with you, consider subscribing. And if you want to support these kinds of deep dives, hit the join button to become a channel member. I genuinely appreciate it.